That's a good one.
And that's a harsh one. Are you sure you are where you say you are?
That was a horrible experience.
Most women fall into this trap of codependency. And that was the story of my life.
Talking over each other when we're talking?
Yeah. You know how toothpicks look?
That was
him. It was a Latin joke. Hi guys, do you know how dangerous it is to give the internet permission to ask you literally anything?
Well, we did it. And the questions you sent?
Buckle up, because we are now answering the ones no one dares to.
Thank you guys so much for the love and support and the positivity you guys are showing us of late since we started posting these videos. Your love is amazing. I couldn't imagine we would get this far. So thank you so much. Buckle up, and we're getting right into the story. The first question is make more videos about most of the challenges guys faced together during your chase in Kenya to her heart. Wow, that's a good one.
And that's a harsh one.
You remember any?
First one and the main one, in the long distance relationship, that was the harshest. That was the toughest. The lack of trust.
Yeah.
Are you sure you are where you say you are?
She really had problems trusting me.
And vice versa.
Yeah, for me also the same, because I remember sometimes she could tell me, hey, I'm going out to a mall with my colleagues from work. And you know how it is when you start socializing with friends, and I was like, okay, so you're going out to socialize, and that means you will have friends there and stuff like that. So little things started, piling up in my head. So that kind of mistrust.
Yeah, and it was that question, are you sure you want to wear that dress when you go out?
Yeah, I would sometimes I remember I would ask her to show me what she's dressing, because women, we sometimes, we tend to be overprotective. It's in our nature as men. That is how God created us to be. So I would ask her to show me a picture of what she's dressing, and of course she was a good fiance back then, and she did that. So it made me feel secure, and sometimes we could discuss and have a talk before she goes out, and to be sure what she's dressing, to be of course elegant and respectful.
Okay, the next one, another tough one, having to wait for 6 months to meet, and for example to go to the cinema, to movies together, to go to a restaurant together, to have a juice, to have a walk together. We always had to wait 6 months for 3 years to do that.
That was a horrible experience. Being a man and you want to be around the ones you love, and the thought that she's far away from you, it wasn't pleasant at all. So yeah, that was one of the challenges for me that I experienced.
And another challenge, especially for me, in a long distance relationship, especially with this, let's say, chasing, in the dating period, in the dating phase, was the lack of possibility to objectively notice and observe the other one's behaviors, the other one's reactions in public, in intimacy. For example, in a normal case, when both of you live in the same town, in the same area, or maybe you visit each other more often, is easy. You put each other to test. You see how the guy is reacting, how he's treating a waiter, how he's treating the kids around, how he's talking about his family, the mother or the ex girlfriend or everything. In this case, was not so possible because of the distance. There were miles and miles and oceans and continents between us. So we had enough time to create an ideal image in our heads about each other, and we were very keen in projecting this ideal image on the other one, and somehow seeing each other in a perfect light, which was very far away from the truth. So that was another big challenge.
Adding on to that, it should be considered by two partners who want to get into a relationship to be close to each other, not necessarily living together, but being in the same city or in the same country. It's a plus. I would say it's a plus. It adds to many more advantages of the relationship, because you get to understand your partner, his likes, his dislikes. If he has, for example, anger issues, those are some of the red flags you should check out. if how he talks to, let's say if you go to a restaurant, to the waiters, how he or she talks to the waiters, if he's an impatient kind of a guy, if he's a person who likes swearing a lot, if something small happens and he swears a lot, it takes him like 2 minutes swearing and being upset. I think that should
Temper issues.
Yeah, temper issues. That should be put into consideration, because if the person is doing that while you guys still dating, that means in the future it will be even worse. So I recommend, I recommend to be in the same town, in the same city, close by, not at distance. Of course, at distance it can work, but to some extent there's some disadvantages about that. So yeah, it's good to just be in the same proximity.
So because I'm a relationship coach and mentor, I call this an exploratory phase of the dating, not necessarily exploring other men possibilities. It's about exploring that specific man's habits, way of speaking, interest, hobbies, language, and everything. Another one with the plane ticket.
We were working a lot.
The entire year.
We were working a lot just to buy tickets, and that time it was costly. Moving, Romania to Kenya, it was expensive. It's still expensive, but putting into mind that we were still trying to build our lives. We didn't have a good income yet. Where I was working, I wasn't receiving a good income. Perhaps on your end,
I started with a minimum salary in Romania.
And for those 3 years, we were just working to save money, to buy tickets, and sometimes for a vacation. So we didn't have so much to use and stuff like that.
The next one, the permanent countdown. I remember that I was living my life counting down every day. 120 days left. 115 days left.
It was...
I don't recommend that anyway, but...
I remember I was just ticking on the calendar. So I still have, like, let's say 120 days until we see each other. 130 days, 100 days, 50 days. That waiting, sometimes it tends to create anxieties. And at some point, you don't understand why, but just trusting the process and waiting for that moment to happen. That's what kept us waiting and the fire burning.
The challenge is here is that you basically put your life on hold. And that's a trap. Don't fall in that trap. Even if you're in a long distance relationship, even if you're waiting to be together, okay, continue with your life, continue with your hobbies, with everything that makes your heart sing. Don't put your life on hold for anything in the world, because that's why most women fall into this trap of codependency. And that was the story of my life. The last one, the huge phone bills.
Calling international calls. That was quite expensive at that moment.
One time it came 300 lei.
That's around
80 euros, 90 euros, something like that. Back then, like 11 years ago, was huge. It is huge even now. I mean, nobody does that. Nobody does that. And my parents were pretty upset back then, because I was living with my parents, and they were like, how come? My father was, I'm going to, with a company provider, I'm going to have a fight with them. They're lying. And I said, no, actually it's true. I did that, and it was a bit embarrassing, but yes.
I used to sometimes take my father's phone, secretly, call, and at the end of the day, he would start, who's calling, using my phone? He would go to my mother, are you talking to somebody else or something? What's happening? Because I'm receiving some huge bills here and I don't know what's happening around this. But it was me. Eventually, I accepted, and I told him that I've been the one using your phone to call, of course, my fiancé. And we had a discussion, but he was upset. Of course, it was expensive. It was extremely expensive. At that moment, my father, of course, he was the only one working in the house. So imagine paying around 80 euros or 70 euros. That's a good amount of money only to invest in food stuff and not paying bills and stuff like that just because you want to give a phone or stuff like that. Yep.
And the last one, having to go to church alone. That was so sad for me. because most of my friends and the pastor and most of my friends from church, they were aware about our relationship, about the waiting phase and the impossibility of being together at the time being, and they were like treating me with compassion. But it felt so sad waking up every Sunday morning and just having to go to church alone, especially
both of us waking up in the morning, going to church separate times. I think during winter here,
yes,
during winter here, 1 hour difference.
Yeah.
And going to church separately.
Praising alone, lifting your arms by yourself, not having somebody, the one that you love by your side to worship together, to have that beautiful relationship with Jesus and to share that with the one close to your heart.
Yeah.
And it felt sad because it took for 3 years. Again, that's partly putting your life on hold. That's another story. We approached that earlier on, but yeah, for me that was sad, and I was so happy when you finally came here and we started serving together.
Absolutely, it was wonderful. Another one was so how do you deal with cultural difference, and what do you find irritating about each other's culture?
You mean the fact that he eats so spicy, like it's oxygen, and salty, spicy and salty. At the beginning he was pouring salt into the food.
You mean talking over each other when people are talking?
Yeah, just like
jumping on the conversation when people are talking. I mean, it's a cultural thing here. For her, she's Latin, and being Latin, I think it's something with Latin people. When first thing that I realized when I got here was we are close like this. Even this morning I was trying to get attention because we were close to each other in the bed, but she was speaking on a louder voice, and I was like, please tone it down. We are close to each other. You don't have to shout as if I'm in this other room. It's a thing with Latin people. That is one of the culture shock that I realized, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? And another thing was, anytime we were having a conversation, she wouldn't let me finish up. She would always jump in the middle of the conversation.
I was finishing his sentences like
yes,
now.
And I was like, no, I mean, give me humble time to articulate my thoughts so that you can come later on and put in your thoughts. Nah, it's our thing. So I'm speaking like this. I haven't finished my sentence yet. She has jumped already speaking her things and stuff like that. So for me, of course, where I come from, people speak and they let the other ones finish so that you come in and finish up whatever you want to speak.
For us, it's so funny when we do that, and it's so engaging. And yeah, that one was a huge and challenging cultural differences, because at the beginning we thought we were getting on each other's nerves. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Okay, so the next one. Well, in his culture, a man in the kitchen is basically a shame. In my culture, in our culture here, a man not helping in the kitchen is basically a shame.
This one was a big problem for us at the beginning. I come from a tribe in Kenya whereby men are not allowed to be around the kitchen. My father was the same, my great-grandfather was the same, my grandfather was the same, so it was a generational thing. Now, growing up, I saw that my father didn't help in the kitchen, buying foodstuffs, leaving them there to be cooked, and that's it. But now, getting married to her and then coming here, she was expecting me to be in the kitchen and help her cook, cut the onions and stuff like that. So we used to have this fight regularly. This fight was there regularly because she wanted me to be in the kitchen. And I was like, no, a man is not supposed to be in the kitchen. A man is supposed to be on the television watching a TV or relaxing on the couch, just waiting for the food to be served. Not being in the kitchen and cooking. That was a girlish stuff, women's stuff. And
that one hurt me so much. I remember I was wondering, what did I get myself into? What happened?
Yeah, and I think with time I got used to the idea that cooking is not a thing only for the women. Once you love somebody and you see yourself with them, you don't leave all the things them to do. You get involved both physically, emotionally, in every aspect of that relationship. To grow, you need to be involved. You don't just let her do everything.
The next challenge was the African time. the slow motion African time, because, for example, it would irritate me to the sky and back. The fact that I was serving breakfast on the table, it was hot, it was delicious, and then this guy would take up to 10 minutes to show up at the table and serve it cold. And dinner the same. Or I was already done and dolled up and dressed and arranged and with the purse near the door, ready to leave the house, to go to some places. And that was the second when he was getting into the bathroom, taking a long shower, getting dressed, and I was just by the door and waiting and waiting and waiting. So, okay, it was fine. Dealing with this cultural difference worked fine if I was pretending that that his African time did not mean waiting for 2 hours for things to happen.
On the other side, the oversharing was another deal breaker for me. She tends to overshare. I remember a day when we had taken our daughter to the hospital. And at the entrance of the hospital, we were still waiting to be attended by the doctor. She bumped into this Roma lady and they started having a conversation. And one thing led to the other. In 20 minutes, she had already opened up herself like a book to her, telling her some little details about me, where I'm from, our relationship, how we met. And at some point, I felt offended, and I remember I sent her a text message, hey, tone it down because I don't like the way you're putting us out there into public, especially if it's a stranger. So at that moment, I realized that for her, she'd rather talk to the entire world or open up to a stranger about us. But for me, I take time until I start opening up. And I don't tell people about our private life, or I don't know how my life is, or my wife and stuff like that. I tend to take it step by step.
You remember that episode when I was pregnant with Aliyah, and then our pastor's wife calls me and asks, hey, how are you guys? Corina, how are you feeling? Have you found a name yet for the baby? And I was, yes, it is Aliyah. And then I after a conversation, I shut down, I turned the I shut down the phone, and then this one appears and says, why in the world would you say that? And I was wondering what I did wrong.
Because I wanted the name to be secret. So she came, somebody is calling her and she's like, okay, we already have a name. Her name is Aliyah. And I'm like, oh my God, lady, it's supposed to be our secret. Don't open it up to people. Yeah. It will be known when she's already here. When the time comes, the name will be known. But of course, being open and talking a lot, she did it.
And the last one that I can think of, and one of the most important, actually it should have been the first or the second on the list, the physical affection. Because for a Kenyan, taking a bit of distance like this, it's respect. For an European, especially for a Latino, Latina like me, taking a bit of distance means, hey, you don't love me anymore.
As an African that I am, holding your woman's hand, it wasn't common, especially in my background from where I come from. The only time you hold your woman's hand is when you're walking in a mall and you're just holding her hand so that she doesn't get into the shops and start purchasing stuff and buying stuff. That is the only time you could hold her hand so that she doesn't escape and take you into the mall and start buying stuff. That was the only moment I could hold her hand. Otherwise, on the streets, why should I hold her hand? It didn't make sense to me. But for her, it was like oxygen. She couldn't breathe without it. So I had to level up and come to a conclusion that if that is her need, as a husband, I think I need to fulfill her need. It wasn't easy, but of course, once you love somebody, what can you do? That's what you're supposed to do.
I appreciate, because he really adjusted. He really sacrificed all the habits and the baggage that he had come from Kenya with, and he really sacrificed this to become a better husband. I really respect him for that. And let's not forget another one that is funny, because when he came to Romania, him being used to saucy food with sauces in Kenya, and he comes here and he finds schnitzels, pizza, steaks, and he's like, honey, where's the sauce? It's called steak, darling.
Yeah, I think...
What's up with all this dry food here? You keep me on dry food.
Growing up, I ate all my life saucy food, so transitioning to here, my wife is only cooking what she knows and what she's used to.
Now it changed.
It changed, of course. She had to learn, she had to adjust. But at the beginning, it was difficult. We used to quarrel a lot when she was making food. I wouldn't sometimes eat what she was making because it didn't suit me. So why should I eat? But with time, she adjusted, of course, and she started making some food that I liked, saucy food, Kenyan style and stuff like that. And with time, it was okay. But it was challenging. But of course, once you love somebody, she does good. You do good, you cook very well, and
I cook with love.
I was thin.
It's one of
back then. I was a thin guy like this when I came in.
Yeah.
I think, if you saw a thumbnail of a photo on the previous video, you should see me in that red coat. I was so thin, but nowadays I'm so. I added like, how many kilograms did I add? How many kilograms did I have when we met? 60 kilograms. But now I am at 80 kilograms.
20, yeah. You know how toothpicks look?
That was
him.
That was me.
Yeah.
You didn't need to offend me, no?
No. It was a Latin joke.
Yeah. So yeah, I was really thin, but things changed. Another question is, can you guys clarify on the racial attacks you have survived so far?
Luckily, there were not many, but I can remember one. For example, at our beginning, when you used to pay visits to Romania, and people here 11 years ago didn't used to see so many blacks here, and they were not used to this kind of multicultural couples. And for example, when we were going to malls or on the streets, I used to hear some comments behind our backs, something like, so now you don't like white men anymore, right? But that was maximum that I could hear. I didn't even bother to engage because that tells a lot about the people themselves, not about our relationship, so I didn't mind so much. But I remember the other one, when you came home, you're a bit affected at the beginning when you started the ride-sharing small business, and you had that case with the lady who decided to step out of the car when she saw you.
Yeah, it was one of the when I came here, I didn't have what to do so much, so I started ride-sharing. And she got into the car, but when she saw it was a black driver, she left the car immediately without even saying a word. And she said she canceled the trip. And I remember she said, I don't let myself be driven with such kind of people. That was a comment, and at some point it really hurt me so much. I remember I switched off the engine, parked the car on a side, and I shut down for a moment, asking myself, what's wrong? What's wrong with myself? Did I do something wrong? But I came to realize that it wasn't my fault anyway.
And you know what is the most annoying and saddest part of this? That in this new age era, society that we live in, where everybody can show up and identify as anything, having to sit in the same car near another person who has another skin color, but created by the same God as yours, that's painful.
The idea of just superiority, thinking that your skin color is more superior than mine, I think it's a mindset of our great grandfathers in the 21st century. I don't expect somebody to start to be thinking in that manner, because eventually we're the same. It's just the skin color, nothing much. If you cut my hand, the blood is red. Your blood is red. So I don't know why people should think of superiority in terms of skin color. And
after all, we are all created in God's image.
I think it's a matter of education, and the people around you. If
and
you
character.
grow up and character, and if you grow up in this kind of environment, it's sad.
So if you wake up one morning and you say, okay, from today I want to identify as a woman, and you're a man, I want to identify as a cat, a frog, or a fairy tale or something, is okay. But if you want to sit, or you have to sit in the plane or in the car next to somebody who is not like you, that's sick.
That's a problem. Another question. What were the confirmations from God for both of you? And what is life like in Romania for a Kenyan man? What is a normal day like for him? If I've ever made friends in Romania. Of course, I have so many friends now. Lots of friends from Romania. Big up to my friends. I had, of course, many friends from Kenya, but with time, because of being here and my family and readjusting my life here, kind of lost contact with my previous friends. Most of them left the country. They're doing their own stuffs. Some of them unfortunately passed on. But to answer your question, of course I have so many friends. I have made so many friends. I have remade my life here. And you can talk about if we received any confirmation.
Yes, for whoever watched our previous vlog about how we met. And we were saying there that we received confirmations from God, because we didn't want to jump into this story just because it was a huge desire, and that was all. We needed God's approval.
Yep.
God's go ahead. So we had to take some time and wait for this, and we prayed and fasted for this. And I remember that I had 2 dreams. So listen, guys. My only 2 prophetic dreams that I had in my entire lifetime, that was the moment. So after I bought my plane ticket to Kenya to go to that mission trip, I had not yet talked to him. I had not yet seen or met him. And after I bought the plane ticket, one night I had a dream. And in that dream, it was a huge mountain in front of me. And I started to climb that mountain, and I was full of scratches and blood, in pains. I was climbing like 2 steps going forward, 1 step falling, another 2 steps up, 1 back. And it was, for me in that dream, it was cruel, and it felt so impossible and so hurting to climb that mountain. But eventually I got on the top of the mountain, and there it was a guy, that guy was waiting for me on the top of the mountain. And the moment he turned, I saw his face. Remember, I had not met him. I had not talked to him. I only had the plane ticket bought, and that was all. So in my dream, he turns, I see his face. He was a black man with his face. Yeah. So, and the second dream, after I came back from Kenya.
Before you go ahead, I think the dream was just trying to prepare what is ahead, the journey that was coming.
It's identical. That was my journey of codependency, of trying to always work for the relationship so much, to save, to transform, to change him. So I always ended up being hurt, being scratched, wounded, emotionally wounded. So those wounds and blood from my dream, actually they prophesied the emotional wounds between us. So that's a prophetic dream. So I knew what I was what it would happen. And the second dream was the same. After I met him, the same mountain, but it was full of ice and full of snow. Again, I was trying to go up, 2 steps up, then falling and slip. That ice was so slippery, and going and falling back, and then another 2 steps up. So eventually I come up, and he was there waiting for me. And this is what happened in those 3 years of dating, and after the engagement, and then the first 4 years of our marriage. That was the dynamic between us. Me working like crazy for this, he just relaxing, me in masculine energy, putting in the effort, initiating like crazy. So being so much codependent, I didn't see my life without him. I didn't know what to do with myself if he was not around. Codependency, yeah. So now I'm a relationship coach and I can freely speak about this. But back then, we were both wounded. And then we received, personally I received like 3 verses from God. I remember only one right now from Isaiah, when God is saying that, don't you see? I'm about to make something new and I will make rivers in the wilderness. Mm-hmm. And after a day or a week of fasting and praying, when that verse got into my world, okay, thank you, God. Now I know. And
the last question is, what is the best city for family in Romania? I wouldn't recommend living in a city.
Personally, we got tired of living in city. We live in the capital, in Bucharest.
Bucharest is the capital city. I'm tired of the traffic. I'm tired of it's congested. It's crazy.
The air feels
polluted,
heavy.
Yeah.
Not so much polluted. Yes, now we have cars, Euro 4, Euro 5. I don't know what kind of Euro. They're trying. But still, you have. When for example, my parents live a bit outside Bucharest, near a forest. So when we take the car and we come to our apartment, and you open the door of the car and you feel it. Yeah. You feel it. You're not there anymore. So if you want, you can choose the capital is Bucharest. You can choose big cities like Cluj, Timișoara, Iași, Brașov. Brașov is in the mountains. If you don't have problems with the cold and with the weather, it's very beautiful. Sibiu
exactly. And also it depends if you're working. It depends if you're coming here to do what? I don't know, explore or work. If you're working, that means if you have a working experience, or if you already have a company that you're working in, for example, if it's in Bucharest, that is a little bit of a disadvantage. But if you are, let's say, working from home, online, doing your own stuff, selling courses, like of course we do, content creation, you can live anywhere, at the mountainside, everywhere. You're not limited in only being in Bucharest. The only thing for us right about now that is limiting us is our daughter, because she's studying in Bucharest. Because there are so many best schools in Bucharest. Outside Bucharest, they are, but compared to Bucharest, cannot take.
We chose a special educational system for her. It's a Romanian Finnish school system, and we don't want her outside the system.
Yeah, that's why we are still here. But otherwise, we will be around the mountains, because being in the city is not that healthy. Believe me, she's always coughing with nose running because of the pollution. So it's too much. But it's a beautiful city. Believe me, it's a beautiful city.
Full of parks, green spaces.
Yeah, beautiful restaurants, cafe. There's so many things to visit and do.
All downtown with those terraces on the street, just like in the old Paris. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Amazing. But when you live like 20, 30 years there, you get fed up.
I wouldn't recommend, something
our
outside.
Dream is to move out of the Bucharest, maybe like my parents in a small house.
You guys should stay tuned, because if you follow the journey, you will see how growing we are, because our next destination, our next location where we'll be staying.
Let's see where God will lead us.
I don't want to disclose it.
And the last question.
Amazing storytelling. Are you a videographer? Am I a videographer?
I would say yes. So that person had a strong intuition. Actually, yes. He is, let me tell you, because maybe he is modest. And maybe he doesn't want to show up like this, but yes, he is, and he's very skilled in this, and he is actually specialized in working with new entrepreneurs
getting into the game.
And the new business owners and content creators, in helping them turn their stories into their superpowers to create the impossible with what they have, maybe only just a phone, and stand out in a crowded market.
Basically, just telling a story with your business.
Mm-hmm. And you guys already noticed, so we are happy that we can bring a bit of his work and his skill and his talent from God into this channel. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't had the chance to subscribe, 1, 2, 3, hit the subscribe button right now to encourage us, to help us build more content, useful content like this.
Absolutely.
For you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so
See
much.
you in the next
and
video.
See you in
Bye.
the next video. Ciao.